Hello everyone, forgive me for I have sinned. I have created a deck today. I sat down, I looked at supply line, I looked at torrent of spiders, and I made supply spider economics. And then I realized that deck wasn't very good and I changed it so that it's Grenadin. So I wrecked the name, but the deck's pretty okay. Hello everybody, it's a new Eternal deck tech. That's right, we are looking at, well, it's kind of what I said it is. I don't want to go too far into this one because it's kind of just an update on an old deck. This is Profane Nexus Grenadin. I've done this before with Vox, Nurturing, Sadist, Profane Nexus, Drone, Sparkcatcher. So basically what you're doing is you've got a bunch of these cards that use sacrifices to get really good effects. So making them sacrifice units, gaining yourself a bunch of life. Profane Nexus, obviously same kind of thing. Draw a bunch of cards, get some damage off with it too. You've got the Devours and Combusts. So a lot of your deck kind of does the same thing. Vox, Combust, Devour, Profane Nexus, Stonescar, Scrapper. Very, very similar cards. They either kill units or draw you extra cards off of sacrifices. And then we've got all the kind of general sacrifice engine stuff. Grenadin drones, Sparkcatcher, assembly line, Scraptank, Gearcruncher as a top end. The thing that I really wanted to play around with, though, and what makes this deck a little bit different than last time, is we are running 4 supply lines. So essentially the idea is that once we get to a certain point, we've kind of ground them down a little bit, we start using combusts and things like that, we can close out a game a lot faster. Gearcruncher closes a game down pretty quickly on its own, but Gearcruncher and supply lines is an insta-win. Like, they have to have a board wipe right then or they're dead. That's just the case. And, you know, same with, like, Scraptank is close. Even just doing, like, an assembly line can right away pump up your whole team. So if they manage to kill supply lines, that's fine. You'll just keep a team of, like, 4-4, 5-5, and 6-6 Grenadin. Like, okay, that's fine. So you can do some really fast, easy, big creatures off of supply lines. And in the meantime, you're just a Grenadin deck. So you definitely have ways to win without the supply lines. You don't really care if it dies. But if it survives, then you can win very quickly. So we've got some really cool things going on here. We've got, then the rest of it is basically, you know, all of your regular power stuff. You've got the Granite Waystones to get extra units off of. If you wanted to, you would definitely want to run some market stuff in here. I'm not really doing that yet. Couple of reasons. So here's the interesting thing. Generally, when I like to test things out, I don't like to put a market in yet. This deck I have tested quite a bit, but I'm still tweaking it. And you might go like, well, why not put why not put a market in then? But I like to kind of figure out where the weaknesses of the deck are first if I'm going to do like a hard market. I don't have slots for it. Like this one, it's tough to actually find enough slots for all the things that I want. I would love to have more Stonescar Scrappers. These cards are great. When you can just draw a bunch of cards off of other units, it's amazing. But it's already competing for 5s with Scraptank and kind of 6 with supply lines. We don't have a lot of power. It's like, I kind of need to just be fine with letting it be 2. And trying to mash a market in here just makes it really hard. But if I play this deck for like 30, 40, 50 times, I might go, you know what? Devour isn't doing as much as I'd like. We already have Profane Nexus, we already have Stonescar Scrapper. The more that I play with it, the more that I dislike Devour. Cut those down, play some cards to get into a market. Right? And you can sit there and go, okay, and the decks that I'm losing to consistently are ones with relics. So in my market, I'm going to want a Passage of Eons, and that means that I'm going to want to do one of the time units. So maybe I'm going to go with like the Charge Smuggler in Praxis, right? So I might go with East Annex Smuggler, right? So I might go with something like that. Or you might go, I need Passage of Eons, but I'd also really like to have like a board wipe like Fall to Ruin in my market. So I'm going to throw in, instead of that, or in addition to the East Annex, maybe I'll split between East Annex and Ebon Dune. You know, just different things like that. I feel like playing around with less variables early on when I'm building a deck from scratch is a really good way to start things out. So if you want to play around with the market, I'd love to see it. If you've got some twists on this, I'd be happy for that too. And if you can bring back the Torrent of Spiders side of things, where I was running lots of discard, there was like the Dark Water Vines that discard cards from the bottom of everybody's decks, and the Cultist that discards cards off the top of each person's deck and things like that to try and get as many units into the void as possible. If you have something like that, Sunset Priest, that's the one I was thinking of. If you have something like that as a build, I would love to have you share it. I'd love to take a look at it. In the meantime, though, we are going to do 5 games with this bad boy, and I'll hopefully see you in the matches.